Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have the unfiltered, uncomfortable, uncomfortable conversation. So, first of all, welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Before I get to introductions, technology, while very cool, is super flawed. Here's the reason why. Because typically, at the beginning of a show, after the intro, I put back on the picture and the overlay. So that way I'll have that up and it'll be ready to go. So when I started the countdown, the overlay was there. Guess what's missing right now? The overlay. So when I started the theme, I had no overlay. So that's why you just got black screen. So thank you, technology, in this program. Anyway, let me introduce Portia. Hey, Portia. You good?
Hey. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I saw you with the coughs earlier, so I just want to.
I don't know what's going on. It's like literally just since I sat down here, so I don't know what it is.
Well, we gonna pray that it ain't nothing more than just a little cough. Quan will be joining us later, and at least he's supposed to be joining us later. He has a band parent meeting going on as he prepares to take his children, his babies, his students to DC. So he is preparing for that. And so we're giving him his time to be able to get ready to or prepare to do all of that stuff. So with that being said, Portia, what you got going on in the band, music, anything world right
now? Nothing much. Just getting ready for the season. Finished my final auditions last weekend. So here we go.
I am putting it in the atmosphere now. The word says that, you speak it into existence. So I'm putting it in the atmosphere right now. Right now, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, listen to what I'm saying, because, we really want to see these things come to fruition, right? 20 girls.
No, baby. Not this life.
20 girls.
Not this life.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, not 20.
No, my ideal squad is 12, maybe 14 max. Mm-mm.
All right, yeah, we can add another 6 to that. You'll be all right. No.
I was on a squad with 20 females.
I know. And it was great, right? It was amazing.
It was something.
Okay. Well, I tried. Well, I put it in the atmosphere. Yeah, right. Thank you. 18 it is. We can do it 18. We can do 18. All right. So let me first of all break it down to you guys. So originally, see, everybody's rooting for this 20 right now. See, thank you for everybody supporting what I'm saying right now. 20 girls.
They can come coach it. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, it's nothing wrong for you getting an assistant. You get 20 girls, and somebody gonna come along and be like, "Hey, I want to help you." See, you're gonna get blessings on blessings on blessings. See, I'm trying to put it in the atmosphere, man. I'm trying. But originally this episode was called "Spill Your Guts." So first of all, yeah, the numbers just keep going up. If we gonna go for that, man, we might as well just go for 30. But yes, this episode was originally called "Spill Your Guts." Now, first of all, I got the name for anybody who watched this show back in the day, called Guts, an amazing show that was on Nickelodeon many years ago, where it showed kids being athletics and getting off of the computer and the cell phones that didn't exist at the time, and actually being active with one another. But I digress. So Mike O'Malley would say, he would be talking to the kids and he'd be like, spill your guts. And at that point, you're supposed to tell about yourself, right? So that was where the title came from. But originally, I had a young man who wanted to come on the show, and he was ready to spill his guts about his experience with HBCU and university, or an HBCU or university band program. He did tell me the program, but I'm not going to say it on here because I wanted him to be able to say it. Unfortunately, now mind you that this was supposed to go down about, I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago. So unfortunately, he called me, or he contacted us yesterday and said that he would not be able to make it today. Something else came up. So unfortunately, he himself will not be spilling his guts today. And I'm pretty sure people were like, yo, what y'all about to, who's spilling, who, somebody got the tea? No, it's no tea, no coffee, no juicy juice, nothing going on right now at this moment. But I will take this time to say this is going to be our last episode before we go on the July break. So we may get a little wild today. I don't know. I really don't know. I felt like last week's show was really interesting in the fact that it kind of went in a lot of different directions and it wasn't planned. And because Young Man canceled on us, guess what this show was going to be? Not planned. So we're going to go off the dome today. But I will say this, I've already pinned the link into the chat. So if you do want to, and if you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, I'll re-put the link in there. But if you do want to come in early, I've already pinned the link to the chat, so you ain't got to ask what the link is, because we may be talking about some things today that some people may not agree with. All right. Post, you ready for this? Because I know I didn't prepare y'all. I didn't prep y'all. I didn't do none of that. I didn't say watch.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
It is. So first and foremost, this past week was the brawl for it all, if I'm not mistaken. This past week was Georgia and New Orleans mass band that went down today, or not today, but on this past week. I know I could have sworn I seen Justin somewhere in the front getting hype and recording and doing all of those great things. Guts was definitely Kid American Gladiator. I can go off on a tangent on all that, but I'm not going. I'm gonna hold that. But me and the crew of the Passion Is Network were talking up a storm in that text message circle. So much so that I think Portia may have turned her sound off. I think Maya was getting a couple of those texts too. So she may have turned her sound off as well. I will say this. I'm going to start by saying this. The one thing that I did like was the Hogwarts joint from Georgia. I appreciated it. I appreciated it because it was something different. I appreciated it because it was not your normal rap tune, or not even your normal R&B joint. It was definitely something that was outside of the box. I could appreciate the arrangement. I thought the arrangement was well written. There were some things in there that I heard that I could hear what they were trying to do with that arrangement. So I thought it was a really good arrangement, or a decent arrangement. And that's where I'm going to leave it. And there's a reason why. And as we go into this, I'm going to tell my reason why. But first I have to ask this question because I didn't give it as an assignment. Portia, did you watch any bits of this past mass band performance? See, I knew the answer was going to be no. So let me say this, and this may cause some controversy. And if you're ready to come in and click the link and come on in, you can say it. In the conversation that we were having on the Passion Is text stream, Brother Connor, good old Chuck, was there live and direct. If I'm not mistaken, he had a couple of students that did perform. One of the things that he said to us was, what we hear live is different than what we hear online, which prompted me to say this, and I'm going to say it, and this is why I'm going to keep the theme with the spilling the guts and all that kind of stuff, because I don't know, I'm in rare form today. So I just may say some stuff that may just titillate some people in a bad way. I am, and I've said this before on the show, but I'm really getting to the point to where I am going to hold strong to the fact that it makes no sense that we can't judge HBCU style or show style bands, whatever you want to call it, via video. Why is it that every single situation it's different in person than it is on the camera? And the reason why I'm saying that is this. If I watch the University of Texas Wind Ensemble, what I hear there is what I'm going to get if I'm in that room. If I watch the Bluecoats, what I get there is what I'm going to get when I'm in front of them. Now, obviously, volume levels are going to be different. That's going to be different. But for some reason, it never makes sense to me that whenever you are listening to show style bands, and I'm just using that as the name, I really don't like the term show style bands, but we'll go with that. It's all of a sudden, well, it don't sound the same in the front as it does live, or excuse me, as it does on the stream. And so I'm now getting to the point of saying, well, just stop putting it out there then. Let's just say everybody just go to the thing. That way everybody got a fair judgment, because obviously something has happened different. Something is happening differently than what's happening live than what it is in when it's being recorded. Now, I'm also going to say this. What up, brother? How'd your meeting go, by the way?
It was really good, bro.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. Now, I'm also going to say this. Mics can't handle the volume. I understand all that kind of stuff. I am an audio engineer. I get all of that stuff. But guess what? Standing in front of a drum corps group is not soft by no stretch of the imagination. So again, I'm going to say, how is it that one can have the same balance and blend and all of that stuff, and we can hear clearly on all those other things, Android recordings, but we can't. Hey, we're not gonna talk about. See, that's I laughed at the Android thing, but we're not gonna laugh like that, Portia. It ain't that funny. Okay, I love my Android. Me and Android been homies for a long time.
That's cool, but that's how I feel about Androids.
Well, you know what? You and your Apple can go sit under a tree. But I just find it very interesting that we can't judge them on the same level because of that. Please explain.
Why you keep messing with these people and they damn all-star band.
I'm not
whatever band it is.
I am not talking about all-star band. I ain't talking about mass band. I am talking about the show style, quote unquote, show style band culture.
People say that about regular bands. People say that about regular band, and I just don't know. Oh,
if think about it. Well, I gotta put it out there. I'm gonna put it out there. I ain't gonna call them that. If Southern if Southern doesn't do well against somebody, oh, you had to be there, dog. It was a little different in front of them than what you hear on the tape. Now,
is that different from? If y'all can't tell, let me stop because what I was doing was my little job, not my little job, my real job. But hold on. So, is that different from experiencing the Legion in person? Is different from seeing it online?
Yeah.
That's the same thing, or is that different?
No, so so for me, I'll just say it like this, and I'm just jumping in. There's a difference from looking at the Legion and then experiencing Legion. Now I think that's what maybe Luke is trying to say. It's a difference between looking at the Blue Devils online and then experiencing the Blue Devils. It's completely different. Or Carolina Crown in their circles, completely different. So to be fair, when Luke and we went to the All-Star Band, the Mecca thing, in New Orleans last year, it was a different experience. So I mean, it was. I mean, then just looking at it on YouTube.
So we're talking different experience or different sound.
But that's where my argument is.
You're referring to different sound.
Yes.
And I think what I'm explaining about the Legion is different experience.
Correct.
So those aren't the same thing.
It's not.
But the Legion don't sound, I'm be honest, the Legion don't sound bad in person or.
But that's my point. You're proving the point. Now you proving that's my argument. That's my argument.
Maybe I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Now I didn't know people still use it.
I was gonna tell you. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And
so I'm gonna say it this way. Maybe it's because I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I'm gonna root for the little other people. Our HBCUs, maybe don't have the type of mics and equipment that these other institutions have. So maybe that's the difference in sound. No. Okay, I tried. Listen, I don't know. I don't know. Now, see, the other side is some of these bands don't have media team. They have production squads and production crews. And by the time it gets to the Beyonce's internet, it don't sound nothing like it sounded when you was in person.
So
it's a school that's famous for that, but I won't say their name because I don't, I'm trying to keep my little job.
You don't got to say the name. We all know there's NCAT, but my point is, it's not a secret. I mean, we all know at this point. Sorry, Chuck backstage. I'm just gonna be honest. We all know who it was. I mean, it is not a secret at this point in the game. All right.
Portia did not say it. I just made the reference, okay, to all the people, that might go tell my little job.
Well, hey, yes, Portia didn't say it. Whatever was just said, that was not on Portia. It was on me. Just bringing out the obvious thing that we already know. But so my thing is, because the equipment is not up to snuff, we will not get the same quality of sound that we get when we're dealing with HBCUs. Is that what you're saying? Is that
it's a possibility, maybe,
Man, let's just say it. Let's just say what it is. Who doesn't? Let's deal with factual. Who have you heard online and then in person that was different?
Are you asking me specifically?
Yeah, I mean, you putting it out there. Put it out there Wednesday.
You've actually already said it, and after I get through this list or the experiences that I've had, I'll bring Chuck in. But you've actually said it last year. What we experienced, even sound wise, from Georgia and New Orleans last year was different. I remember Jackson and Southern, the Holy Grail year. Me and Rick were sitting right by Jackson, literally right by Jackson. And when we heard them in the building was completely different than what we heard on the camera.
Was it better or worse?
Honestly, no. Honestly, we've said it before. It wasn't as good. It was actually worse.
Online,
it was worse online than it was
in person.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that bad online.
But see that again, that to me, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's up to the person listening. Maybe it's up to interpretation. I don't know. But what I do know is that based on what Chuck said, and he'll elaborate a little bit more. He wasn't ready. But based on what he said, it was different. Now, before Chuck, I let you go ahead and explain this. I do have something to say, and I've been wanting to say this to you for a while. First of all, happy belated anniversary. I know it's been a while.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, both of you all. But I do have to say this, and please don't fire me up. Your wife put up a post about you all's anniversary, and she was saying something about to the degree of, being in an interracial relationship. You're not black?
Good evening, everyone. Y'all doing all right?
I thought you were just from Louisiana.
No. I am Puerto Rican and Polish.
Who knew? Thank you. I thought I was okay. I wasn't alone in this. Thank you. All right, cool. We good.
Right.
I thought you were start speaking French. I was about to get down with you, but
nah. But just to give a little history, and I make sure I say it anytime anybody asks that Puerto Ricans are mixed with African, Tejano, and Spaniard. And so, that's one thing in the Hispanic community that you get some people that don't recognize their African roots, and so that's something that I make sure that I make known, to people that are Puerto Rican and, so they could be aware of their heritage. But no, I am not black. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, a military brat, lived all over the world. And
you black. That's cool.
I mean, I think you black, but that's what I'm saying. When she said that, I was like, ain't he black though? Okay, all right. She may be something different. She just may be chocolate. I don't know. It just hey. All right, but go ahead.
No black. Nunca.
Right. And so you see in the chat, somebody said, "We the blacks."
We the blacks.
Oh, that's hilarious. Y'all doing all right? Everybody doing all right?
Yeah.
Good. First and foremost, Portia, I apologize if I blew up your phone after the event in the text chat.
Oh no, that's okay. I just put it on.
You just put it outside.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll just say this. Each of you guys have brought up very important points that I agree with. I agree with all of them. I can just say this. I know for me, probably a lot of it was the experience, that it was different. I was telling my wife earlier today. No, I think it was yesterday because I'm participating on helping out with the One Atlanta band camp that's going on this week. And I went to go get some lunch yesterday, and I made sure, I'm right down the street, Morehouse College. And I was like, look, I got to go to the hood and get something to eat, and so I like doing hood stuff sometimes. And the event this past Saturday was all of that and then some. And I mentioned in the chat that
he black.
I mentioned that I've had to learn how to just turn off the band director ears, and that's taken some discipline, because all of us know, or even Portia, if you're watching groups, maybe dancers or anybody that has a flag drill teams, and you're looking for certain things, and sometimes you don't get to enjoy what you're watching. Just like, I don't know, you watching one of those raunchy cartoons on Adult Swim. There's sometimes that, I just feel like I want to, enjoy whatever that is and not be analytical to it. And so when I went on Saturday, I was just like, man, like everybody's out here. It was fun. It was definitely not a child-friendly environment, I would say, on the field, but it was just everything. And I'm not even from ATL. I went to kindergarten in Columbus, Georgia, and then I haven't been back, since I moved here. And so, but I mean, it was just lovely to see folks out there. I know I talked to folks this week to say that they saw some people at that event that they haven't seen in years, so it was like a big family reunion with two big bands there, and them just having a great time. And so I enjoyed it for what it was. I mentioned this in the text chat as well, too. I walked into it like I was going to a street basketball game. There's going to be some traveling. There's going to be some bad shots. There's going to be some bad dribbling. But there might be some good games as well, too. And you guys saw immediately when the what is that theme again? We keep struggling on it. Let me say, I'm not a Harry Potter. Right, but I could tell. I knew the theme. I knew the theme and the variation. You hear it all over, the TV and stuff and online when they have commercials. And I was just like, oh, I don't know if anybody has played anything from Harry Potter, and I love stuff like that. When I was at A&T, we used to play Toccata and Fugue and the Throne Room from Star Wars. Like, that stuff got me hooked when I was in high school. Like, oh, I didn't know bands could play this stuff. This is dope, so definitely I would say, in terms of, for me, it was the environment that made it different. Of course, if we go back and look at it, there's some things that could have been great, some things that could have been better, and some things that just was what they were. I think I can concur for everybody that was there. The drum battles was just that, like, took the energy, extremely down. But I get it, you want to square up against different folks, but definitely it was just the experience for me. The experience for me was just really good, being there in front of the bands and just be amongst our people,
So, and let me say this. I feel like we felt the same way when we went last year. Quan, would you agree on that? Yeah. So I when you said that in the chat, Chuck, one of the things that I started to correlate it to was the cookout. I think that people, I don't know if it's the band thing or it's just the experience thing.
Bro, it's this. Like, I saw so many people that have been in so many different bands across the country or within Atlanta and stuff like that. Like, it was just being amongst, like, us. Like, we get it. We know what band is and how as much it shaped us, and hopefully maybe our kids could be. There was a mom in front of me that was down there on the track. That's my baby. And that kid was up there like, no, mom. And she ended up busting her tail. And it was a moment, but everybody was just like, just sharing that moment or that experience. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's why I said I kind of related to the cookout, right? Like, we go to the cookout, we going to relax and chill and just be amongst people, or be amongst our people, or be amongst family, so on and so forth. Kick back, have a drink, listen to some Marvin Gaye, eat some ribs. And, maybe they need to start bringing some grills out there to some of these battles. And
have a cook-off.
Yeah. Barbecue cooks. I'm giving y'all some game here. But just something that environment itself, I agree with. That part I don't disagree with. I think I disagree with the fact that it's not necessarily family friendly, which, that's something that me and Quan experienced too.
Oh, hey, there was a grill out there too. Whoever was cooking from New Orleans, they had this tent, and I know Dollar Watson got to get some, and I was over there. It was amazing. So they did have some food out there, but
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, we they ain't had none when we was there. It was go to concession stand. So yeah, but I think all in all, I think to me that's kind of what I related to. I think it's and you said it in the chat and in the text stream, and I said it again. I just don't know how you go into a situation and you just turn your musicianship off. That to me is just that part is difficult for me. And I think that may be the thing that many people are or when people are listening struggle with. Go ahead.
So here's my thing, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this one. Chuck, I'm sure I've seen you went to DCI events. When you go to those events, do you have to turn your music ear off then?
Do I have to?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say no. I don't. But I will say, like, even in both instances, mass band or DCI group, DCI championships, feeling the music, if that makes sense. Not saying that you can't get that, you know, from the video, but being there for both groups, like I enjoy that. You know, I enjoy that feeling. I think that's why I got into arranging music. That feeling that you get when something comes out and it's good. It's something it's very, very hard to describe. And so no, you don't have to. You don't have to. Then there are some mistakes, you know, on both ends, you know, for sure. I would honestly say that I think if the mass bands, and again, it's a summer group, you know, they had even maybe half or a fraction of like the rehearsal time that, you know, maybe the DCI groups we'd hear a better product, you know, I think we'd hear a better product. Cause you could tell, I think that, again, what's the name of that song again? Julie, Hedgewood's theme. I could tell that might have been the first time they played that, like, you know what I'm saying, versus another group.
So let me say this, and I guess because I see Justin comment, I asked the question because I'm gonna be real. I'm just getting to the point where it's like, bro, you like what you like. I don't care.
Right,
like,
for sure.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, but I think the reason why I'm asking is because, like, when you ask a question like that, I think many people feel like you're inferring that one is superior than the next. No. If you don't, and we're just gonna be honest. I think that as African Americans, minorities, and people of color, like, we are some of the most talented people that God ever created. But if we're gonna be honest, there are certain avenues and systems and there's a certain culture that was created, and I don't care. DCI been around since the 70s.
Yeah.
Plus, let's not speak about the funding that they have compared to the funding that some of these mass bands and all-star band programs have. So that's two different.
It's an unfair comparison.
Right.
Yeah, it's an unfair comparison.
So I just want to be honest. I'm not comparing the two. I was just asking Chuck the overall question of, I know that he's a great musician from what he does with his high school kids. So that's why I'm saying, if you turn your ears off for one, but you know you don't have to for the other, like, what are we saying? That's all. So
right. That's a great question. It's definitely something to think about. I think I go into both settings with just the expectation of hearing some good music or seeing a good show, and trying to enjoy it, you know, and not saying I can't enjoy it, you know, if I'm being analytical, but then, you know, I don't know, tapping into a different space, I guess, you know, mentally, to be like, oh, you know, this is out of tune. This is this, you know, versus, I don't know, just kind of taking it in and enjoying it all. But again, you know, I think apples and oranges definitely. And being in person for both, I think is the best way to go. You know, I think it's the best way to go.
Yeah, and I think so. I
Or
even
you
said like,
can do what I did.
what?
Not go to bed either.
Let's do it. And
Like
let's
I mean, like for me, New Orleans played YMCA. I think that song pretty dope. No
Man,
lie.
yeah, there's a lot of untouched songs, and I enjoyed that, and that's what I want to hear more of. That's what I want to hear more of. When I talked to some of the directors from each, I was like, we need more versatility, more things that haven't been done. I think they started off New Orleans All-Star Band started off with Jumpstart, which is a traditional
New Orleans classic,
and that's what I didn't want to hear. I know last year when I saw them versus North Carolina, I was hearing a lot of stuff, from Southern's Book or traditional songs, that had been rocked out maybe 10 plus years ago. Cool with tradition, but I was like, I wanted to hear something different, and so when I heard them starting off with that, I'm like, okay, hopefully this is not indicative of the rest of the evening, which it wasn't. A lot of people were talking about, I don't know the name of the piece that the New Orleans group played. Had a lot of runs in it, and people like, oh, did you hear the technical piece? And I know at that point, my mind just kind of went to band director mode, and I was like, what do we consider technical? Does it have to have 16 notes in it? Does it have to have, is it just a rhythmic thing, or is it technical in another sense? So yeah.
So that's, and even like that song that Georgia Mass Band played, where they were chanting like ATL, like
that was like in almost every song. we were having a party down there. It was dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them. Like, man, they had a tuba split, like a call and response. Like, I think that's pretty dope. What I've come to a conclusion, bro, is like people gonna like what they want. Like for me personally, I didn't see the BET Awards, but I was upset that I feel like they're not honoring Cash Money Records like they should be as a staple in Southern hip hop and Southern music. They didn't recognize UGK. They didn't do Master P. You know what I'm saying? Like hip hop is 50, and if you really think about it, from 1996 to about 2004, Cash Money in the South was killing everybody. However, like that's my cup of tea. That's where I'm from and what I like and what I appreciate. I think what I would like to see, and again, because I'm solution based, I would like to see what Mass Band is doing be taken to the level of DCI by adding some of those components that DCI uses, because it is a blueprint that has lasted and thriving. So when it comes to certain camps, I've said it on the show many times, when it comes to connecting with the fine arts director, because the truth is we just got the email that, hey, DCI Houston this day at the stadium that it's always been in Houston, like that's pubbed. And what I would like to see is that the same thing that happens in other cities, that people push and people be like, hey, this is something that you need to be a part of. This is how we can raise funds to ensure that maybe New Orleans All-Star Mass Band can connect with Conselmer and get a boatload of instruments that's for that program to ensure that their sound is the same, or like so forth and so on. I'm solution based. The question, to answer your question, why does it have to assimilate? The reason why is because we're always going to compare apples to oranges. I don't care what nobody say. And this is the season for DCI right now compared to the same season for Mass Band. And I don't want nobody to keep crapping on Mass Band, but the truth is, if as an educator that's been in both worlds, if I'm looking at it like, hey, this is something that's great, but it can be better, then why not share it? Then if I didn't share it, then I'm gonna be a hater. I feel like you're disingenuous when you talk about something or have an opinion about something and you're not the one trying to correct it.
But see, so there's a lot of conversation that's been going on, and before I get into it, let me go ahead and do this because I didn't do it all last week. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Go ahead and tap that like button right now. If you're in here, if you're watching, I don't care if you're on your phone, if you're at the gym, go ahead and tap the like button. Get off the weight machine, put down the rack, just click the like button, and then pick the rack back up. If you're in the sauna or something, you good unless your phone cut off because it's too hot. All right. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the Passionate Network and turn on notifications. This episode will be up on all your podcast networks. Just type Talk That Talk. Well, except for on Apple Podcasts where you can type in real Talk That Talk. So there were a couple of conversations that you guys were having back and forth, and I wanted to let you guys get your thoughts out. But one of the things that question that you did ask to Chuck about turning your ear off, and if you don't have to turn your ear off on one, then why do you have to do it for the other? I think it's a really good question because it starts to kind of look at how you value us and how you value the quote unquote culture. It's almost very similar to the decision that I made that when I was teaching. When I started teaching, obviously, well, my first teaching job was in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. And then from there, I was in Beaumont and so on and so forth. My point that I'm trying to make is there was a way that I approached our kids that I didn't do when I was teaching DCI. And I got results from both, right? But when I started teaching DCI, I realized I didn't have to do certain things with the DCI kids that I had to do with my kids. And so then that made me start realizing, well, I was cussing my kids out. Like, let's keep it a buck. As a band director in some of these urban, we didn't hit the cuss daddy a few times. But then I also sat back and I had never had to cuss at a DCI kid. So if I'm not going to cuss at it, huh?
Or you chose not to?
I never had to. I never had to. So my thing was, if I didn't have to do that and still pull results, then why do I have to go to our people and our kids and demean them? Most of the time, most of our kids are getting that at home on a normal basis anyway. So now they have to come to school and get the same thing from somebody who looks like them, that's supposed to be their leader, so on and so forth. And as being our people and our students, I felt like they deserved better. So when I was in Dallas, I made the decision to not do that to my students. Now, it took me a while to recognize that, but the truth of the matter is, how are we viewing our people if, again, like you said, Quan, you got to turn your music gear off for one thing, but you don't have to do it for the other. And so I thought that was really a really compelling thought process that you were stating from there. But then the other thing that you guys went into talking about, which I kind of forgot kind of how you went into it, Quan. But I do want to say this though, or ask this question. Are we being disingenuous to our mass band folks? And I'm going to say it like this. There are many arguments that I've heard on this show, seen from people, so on and so forth, about band directors being a part or being involved with mass band. Because I agree, Quan, being solution-based, trying to find ways to work together, so on and so forth. But I think that I feel like there's a level of people being disingenuous, because a lot of the band directors will go into, online or these spaces and say, man, this is great, man. You guys are doing a great job. But then we'll talk to us behind closed doors and be like, man, that sounds terrible.
And I feel like that, and I feel like that's whack.
It is.
Like, and then I feel like that's whack. And that's why, that's why when it's kind of like, to a degree, you got to know if a person's solid or not. So it's like, you have to know if Chuck says something. For example, if I send Chuck a video of my band or Julian, it's happened many times. I sent a video and he was like, an arrangement, and he was like, so what were you trying to get out there? Now, if you in your feelings, you'll be like, so, bro, what you mean? I'm trying to get out there. No, what was your thought process? What did you want here? And if you open mind and be like, hey, bro, you know, I was trying to do this, do that, you know, well, maybe you want to do this voice, and maybe you want to open this up, and maybe you want to do this, and, you know, blah, 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 so forth and so on. Like, you gotta like get out your feelings. My thing is, what I realize was disingenuous. I've seen band directors was like, this sound good, this is blah blah blah, this is good, and then message me and be like, man, this hanging over is tripping. Well, why don't you say that? Like whatever I say to your face, I'm gonna say it publicly. I'm gonna say it to your face. Now, the truth is, some of that hanging over screaming, it ain't my cup of tea. It ain't. Like I don't trip on the scream, but some of the screaming notes you doing for a whole note, damn near after everybody cut off. Nah, I don't appreciate that. But I could jam with the song though. I just people just be lying to themselves. But people, like we talked on the show last week when with Justin is one of the few people in the silo that legitimately says, well, if you don't like it, that's cool, but why? And stand on your heel about why you don't like it. But don't be a fair weather person. You on a book saying that you like it, but you hit me up saying you don't. I feel like that's lame.
That's where, for me, I don't understand why we get the backlash, because we're saying this is what we like. This is what could be better. This is how we can all work together. But it's never heard in that manner. It's always heard, well, you just hating it. And I'm just kind of like, we're being probably the more genuine out of the group. And I'm not specifically talking about just us as a show. I'm just talking about people who respond and think like us, because we're at least being a little bit more genuine in our conversation. We're not coming to you or going online and saying, hey man, this is great, and then talking amongst each other and being like, man, I don't know why this stuff is still going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that, never mind, but go ahead, Portia.
I think that happens in band in general, though, not just in this situation. I think people say different stuff in different spaces for fear of backlash. I think that I experienced that in band in general. It's weird, but I feel like that's band in general. I mean, people will say different stuff where depending on what they feel like the people around them are gonna respond to a certain way. And I just think that's weird across the board. We grown. If I don't like something, I don't like it. And you can have your opinion and I can have mine. And that doesn't mean that we don't care for each other. We just like what we like and don't like what we don't. And that's okay. And that should be fine. Just like I all the people who were there, who had a blast, the mama who took a tumble, I want you to keep experiencing that. But Portia gonna do something else with her Saturday. And that's okay.
Man, I think one of the best examples I wish we really could do is, y'all remember on that part on Lean On Me when I forgot the superintendent, but he played Benson, and him and Morgan Freeman got into it. And he showed him the paper. He said, man, you're losing the war trying to win the battle. And Morgan Freeman was so beetle-headed. He was like, well, let him go. Let him go. Let him walk out. He was like, well, contrary to popular demand, I am the HNIC. You're going to give them apology, and you're gonna give a formal letter. And he was like, after they said back and forth,
come on, let's go get something to eat.
Let's go get something to eat. And he walked out. You think you bad. You think you bad. I just look at it like this, bro. Like, what I did realize, and what I could stand on my heel and be a man about is, there are certain aspects of mass band that I don't care for. But I do appreciate them kids are doing something good. I even myself had considered, man, you know what? I'll start a mass band, but I want to do it this way. That's not a problem. That's why, comparing it to DCI, that's why the Madison Scouts had their way for so many years, where they had all men. Then you backdoored. You had Blue Devils had their way. Music City, they had their way. At the end of the day, though, that relationship could be built, though, bro. But that's why I always say sit at the table. But you can't. I feel like it's hard sometimes for our culture because we feel that once you say, I don't like this, it's kind of like drawing a line in the sand. And it's kind of like we acting like Crips and Bloods instead of this is just what I don't prefer. We too zesty for that.
I agree.
Right. I mean, I definitely, I agree with Portia that you choose what you want to go do and what you don't want to go do and spend your time and stuff like that. As it's part of being an adult. And Quan just touched on something that I thought about even when I was there. I didn't have any kids participate last year. I didn't say yay or nay. I said, keep busy in the summer, understand my expectations when you come to my band camp. And so, but I had some kids participate this year. And, it was just really good. I remember saying, I was like, man, I wish my city had something like this when I was younger. And then, of course, thinking about my time in Chicago and how all games were done during the day and they were on Saturday because when it got dark, it was unsafe to be outside. And you didn't see events as such. If you did, there was a problem. It wasn't if, it was just when, there was going to be a problem. And so seeing all those kids, and then, each city's got their OGs, and people that, played and did it. Man, you remember such or whatever. It was cool to see that mix. It was cool to see that mix. And then the educator in me is like, okay, what did they learn? What did they get better? And I'll be honest, I did have one of my students, my trombone player, she was like, hey, they gave us this lip slur sheet. She was like, it's similar to the one you gave us. And this has helped me out. And she was asking about some mouthpieces. We were doing conversations and stuff about it. And so, I was appreciative. I was appreciative of that. Not saying that happens all the time. And so I don't know about any other groups and stuff, but again, I'd rather, like Quan said, see my students doing something, over the summer. And I believe I did get the ear of the staff of the Georgia Mass Band. And I was like, man, like the next step is getting a sponsor, and making it better. Because I'll be honest, Georgia Mass Band had probably one of the largest recruiting for college scholarships in the country. There was over 30 something college bands that they hosted in the spring, for kids to audition to various schools. And so I could say when I, see that, and even another group here in Atlanta, March to Harmony, some of the things they do in the community and stuff like that, I'm like, hey, that's cool. This is what this is for. And so, I think everybody's just sensitive in this day and age, and just because they don't like something or you don't agree with it, then, you my enemy. And I don't get that at all. I don't get that. Some people like chilling. Some people like caviar, you don't like what you like.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. And I think not only because I feel like I fall in that category, but I think that most of the people fall in this category. It's difficult. So like Portia is going to stand on her heel. If I don't like it, I'm not going to pay attention to it. I like what I like, and it is what it is, right? But what if you like it, but you still, in liking it, find some things that you don't like? I think in the grand scheme of things, that within itself is the bigger problem or the biggest issue. I don't think it's people who are just like anti this, just like, all right, let me see what these Negroes is doing now. Are they shucking and jiving for the camera? Like, I don't think they're doing that. I really think that it's a situation where, like me, I like to hear cranking up. I like to hear cranking up. I do. I always have. That will never change. Again, I'm gonna get on Justin because for some reason he thinks that Norfolk didn't crank up. I wouldn't have chosen the school that didn't crank up. Just to me doesn't make any sense. But I like to crank up. I just like for things to sound good. So what is, to me, I think that becomes the biggest problem. It's not the fact that it ain't my cup of tea, because Portia gonna portion. That's what she gonna do. I'm good. Like she said, I didn't watch it because I didn't want to watch it. I wanted to watch it. I wanted to see what was going down. Who played what? Who cranked up? I really wanted to see that. That does not mean that just because I want to see it, that everything about it I earnestly enjoyed. So what about those people?
They want you to shut up and like it for what it is.
Shut up and play basketball.
Right.
So here, and I'm glad you said that, because this past week I've been thinking to myself, and I said, self, if that be the case, I said self. I didn't even call myself Luke. I usually say, come on, Luke. But I said self. If that be the case, then all those people that have a problem with somebody saying something about whatever it is that they're doing, don't say nothing about another HBCU band. Don't go try another restaurant and give your opinion on it. Don't go to a movie and watch it and then say, well, I didn't like this. Don't go do something and give your opinion that is not based on what everybody else thinks, because that's basically what you're doing. You're telling somebody that actually enjoys what they see, don't sit up and say what we're doing wrong, only praise us for what we're doing right. And I think that is the problem. If you yourself can go out and judge everything that you do, you judge everything that you engage yourself in, then it makes no sense for you to say that someone else can't judge this, especially for people who enjoy it. I enjoy band. I enjoy cranking up. That's all I'm saying.
Whoever said that it was logical? Nobody ever said that this had to make sense. They want you to shut up and like it. That's it. That's all.
So that's just weird to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's, I agree. I think it's totally weird. I think it's totally weird. Because it's just music is just so, especially with the topic. I mean, music is so many different things, so many different styles, so many different, genres. It's just, and especially now, like you just go to your phone and you could just add, the discography of one artist that you've never heard before, and you got like 100-some songs. And so,
but even in that, Chuck, I can do that, but I may find a song that person does I don't like. I don't like this X, Y, and Z.
That's a big change with music that we listened to when we grew up, that you could listen from front to back. Like albums were like a project. Now it's like we're just throwing this thing together. There are some new artists
going in the studio. I'm popping these and drinking this, and I'm just
whatever comes out.
I'm doing it, and whatever come out is what you get.
I'm making it good enough for TikTok.
Yeah,
but you don't have projects like Julie and I were talking back and forth on Facebook. Like my favorite rap group of all time, hip hop group, is Wu-Tang. It will always be that. And I finally watched the series on Hulu, and I wanted to watch it all together, but I was nervous. I think season 3 ended a year or so ago. I was nervous because it's my favorite group, and I didn't want them to screw it up.
No, they didn't.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it gets me chills watching it, because I remember certain things, like when the Wu-Tang Forever album came out. I was in high school waiting for that album to come out. Like it was just so different. We consumed music. I remember, Quan, I was thinking of you when you just mentioned about Cash Money. I remember my freshman year in high school, and this kid named David, right? White boy from North Carolina, slid me this tape, and it was the TRU joint with the mask like on the front. He was like, "You ever heard of them?" I was like, "Nah." He's like, "I'm about to put you on." And so I listened to it Of course, I dubbed it when I was at home, you know, and they gave it back the next day. And I was just like, man, why ain't nobody talking about this? Like, I remember just how we gave each other tapes and stuff like that. Like we would sell it on the block. Like that was like, you know, royalty to have some of those albums, those classic albums, man. And so again, we just consume. So a topic like music and what people like or whatever, it's always going to be back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Even on the concert stage, and you have all these great adjudicators, and you could be playing your tail off. And just because an adjudicator had a nightmare with that piece when they took it to festival a long time ago, they might slight you. Like that's the type of stuff that goes on. Or they've just never heard it before. I took my jazz band when the Incredibles came out, and we played the Incredibles jazz, you know, medley that was in there. And fortunately, the adjudicator was like, I've never heard this before. I want to go watch the movie with my grandkids. Because he was like, man, this sounds like old big band music, you know? And so anyways, like it's people are never going to be on the same page when it comes to a topic such as music, or even down to the best fast food places. You see McDonald's and Burger King always Wendy's throwing shots at each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's so hard, you know? And so I just wish that, you know, we can analyze each of them, you know, but maybe sometimes in some instances, look at the bigger picture. And I know that was the largest band I've been in front of since since I was in college, you know, and I think the bigger picture could be a couple things. You know, one, of course, we want the musicianship to be top tier, especially if you got kids involved. I totally agree with that and stand on that. But also, you know, a opportunity for these kids to get out of the house, play their instrument, and maybe pick up some gems. You know, I say to the older folks that are in there, be mindful. There were some high school directors that participated, you know, locally in that. And it was good of them, you know, sharing some good things, some golden nuggets to the kids, but also their kids seeing that, hey, they can still get down if they, you know what I'm saying, if they want to. And so I thought that was cool.
First of all, I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. Please don't come in my inbox because I'm giving my opinion. When it comes to concert literature and wind literature, I don't like atonal music. Also, I think I told you that before, Quan, when we were at Team E. I just don't like atonal music, but I can't. Let me not say that out loud. I don't want.
Right, you say that in the wrong folks, and they gonna jump all over you.
Yeah,
right. I don't like it. Like I don't like avant-garde.
Yeah,
I can't stand it. It's confusing to me. It's like all jumbled together. But you had some people that have a stand by it, sit there and drink their whiskey and smoke their cigar and listen to it for hours. Like
this is amazing.
Can't do it.
No, I don't understand John Cage at all.
I can't do it. So
you know what? Oh, well, I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Crystal, you're absolutely right. Never program familiar music. Ronald Thornton told us that my senior year in high school. He told me his trick was he would always go to the PML and find the newest stuff.
That they ain't never heard before.
Never heard before.
It's completely unbiased when you're on that stage.
There you go. All right, man. Let's keep going. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU, band culture, music education, and more. Go ahead and slap that like daddy while you're in here. Don't wait on it. Just go ahead and slap it. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the Passionate Network and turn on notifications. This episode will be up on all your podcast networks. Just type in Talk That Talk, except for on except for on Apple Podcasts, where you can type in Real Talk That Talk. Get my throat. I'm sorry I messed up the last thing. And the reason why I messed up the last thing is because I just got an amazing text message from the amazing Miss Stephanie K. Sanders. She got another CD release coming out. And she just sent me the link to her CD release concert tickets. So I'm going to actually... I don't know if she meant to send it to me personally or put it in the show. I'm sorry, Miss Sanders, if you just meant to send it to me personally, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. So I'm gonna throw it in the chat for those of you guys who are interested. who want to be there for Miss Stephanie Sanders' CD release, there goes the link. Go ahead and click it and get your tickets today. That's again Miss Stephanie K. Sanders, assistant band director, associate band director at Norfolk State University, doing her thing, been doing her thing for years. If you didn't get her first CD, you tripping. You might want to go find that first CD. That first CD is dope. All right. Also, I pinned the link to the chat, so if you still want to come in and chat it up with us, you can do that as well. You said something, Chuck, that I do want to actually get on, not specifically for mass band, but just for us in general, us as a people, us as a culture, us as music educators. When we're talking graduating students, when we're talking about what we want to continue to invest in students, what our goal is for the our programs and then also going for the mass band. So the question is, what are the end goals? What I'm recognizing, and Quan hit me to this earlier today. I've been finding out some information. I myself have been part of that number. That doesn't mean I ain't going back, but that does mean I have been part of that number. Band directors are leaving the profession, and they're leaving in droves. And not only do I'm curious as to why. I know what my reasoning was, but I don't know if that necessarily stands for everybody else. But with that being said, what is the end goal? What is our end goal for students? What are our end goals for our programs? So that was something that I had heavily on my heart and on my mind, and I really wanted to get that out. Any thoughts, Portia?
What's the question?
You still doing your other job?
I'm not. I actually got a text message about somebody in need, and I just helped them. Go ahead.
Look at that. You better bless people when you got the availability to give that blessing. Yes, Lord.
You gotta have an organ sound, Julian, for stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't have an organ. I don't have an organ. I just got this. Anyway, no. What? So I'll go back and say band directors are leaving in massive numbers, leaving the profession. And so with everything that we have going on, the conversation right now has been mass band, but this goes larger than mass band. What are the end goals? What are the end goals for these programs? What are the end goals for these directors?
Oh, mass bands?
Everything in general, not just specifically mass band, but when we're talking, university, HBCU university programs, even in some high school programs.
I don't know no more. If I'm being honest, I don't know how. I don't know if the pandemic. I don't know. Y'all have opened my eyes. I say this all the time. Y'all learn me stuff every week, because I don't know. In my mind, I just felt like, especially college band directors made a lot more than they do. And so it's a lot of time. It's a lot of, effort. And so I don't know why anybody would want to sign up to do it. I wouldn't.
And that's where, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think for me, the pandemic has taught me that life is short. You never know how long you have. And so I know, even for me, I've evaluated the stuff that I invest my time into. And if it, don't really make me happy, I'm not doing it anymore. And so I think it's happening, and we see it because we're in this space, but it's happening not only in band directors, educators. It's a lot of people who completely walk away from their job and say, I want to do something else because life's too short. So I think it's a reflection of the times that we're in. Like, after something traumatic as the pandemic that we went through, people are about making life fulfilling. And for some people, being a band director is very fulfilling. And some people don't want to deal with your kids no more. And I think all of that is okay. The sad part is if we don't find a way to start sparking something in people, it won't be nobody. Well, see, never mind. Because it's always somebody that's willing to do it.
Yeah, yeah. For every person that's not willing to do it, there's about 40 of them that's willing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any about all them people who ain't willing to take that $40,000, trust me, you're gonna find somebody who's willing to take that $40,000.
What I'm telling y'all is the reason they playing y'all with that $40,000 is because y'all taking it. If nobody was taking that little bit of money, they would have to change it.
Oh my God.
$40,000 to be an assistant band director in any college is just no. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that.
Quan, thoughts? What you got? What is the end goal, man? You're on mute. You're on mute.
My bad. My end goal overall for me, being specific, is I would like to eventually become a department chair, and my goal is to make the best music educators I can possibly make, for the reality of what it takes to be a band director. And the truth is, and you know what, as I'm thinking about it, I have to say this, not to go back to the mass band situation, but I have to say this. I think maybe it's some band directors that's salty because mass band, from the perception of it, looks like you get all the players that you want. It's like if you create a player for NBA 2K and you could push them all at 99. And what I say that because
Agrees with you.
For example,
Justin agrees with you. He back here dancing and he's hyped right now because you said that. But go ahead.
Yeah, like I think that's why people really be hating, because if you think about it, could you imagine if you was a director that had the amount of students that was in Georgia?
Absolutely.
What you could do musically?
Bro,
you dig what I'm saying?
When I saw them, I was just like, dog, there's nothing you can't do with them. You can be as creative as you want to be.
Right. So for me, maybe band directors hating on it like that. But on the flip side, now this is Quan, the music educator, that's a false sense of reality.
It sure is.
And I think that's why, even from as I'm reflecting on our show last week, when people was like, well, why college bands can't do that? Some of them don't have the money to do it.
$17,000 a year for in-state and $34,000 a year to play here, dog.
You know what I'm saying? And so let's not mention the acceptance rate for some of these schools. That kid may be the dope player that you want, but his GPA ain't where it is to get into school.
Fresh.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we're just gonna be sincere. There's certain schools that I point my kids in the directions to according to their GPA, according to
their major.
Their major, yeah, according to the best fit for them. And honestly, what's best for them? Now, I'm looking at your question, Dante. You say get up and teach. My thing is, there's a lot of people teaching, but there's so many other things that can stop you from just teaching. I realize being a head band director, 80% of your job ain't teaching. 80% of your job is being an admin. You got another 10%, which will equal to 90, that you're a counselor. And then the other 10% you teaching. And so I think it's a false sense of reality to conclude your question, Luke. I want to teach them the reality of what you're walking into. The truth is, graduating from an HBCU, 9 out of 10, not saying all the time, but 9 out of 10, if you're going to a district, they possibly going to give you the black school. 9 out of 10, you possibly have to, for 9 out of 10, they possibly got to rebuild a school. 9 out of 10, you may not have an assistant band director. 9 out of 10, you may not have a library with music. 9 out of 10, you can't afford to purchase a show. 9 out of 10, you have to go to certain clinics and clinicians and pay clinicians out of your own pocket to help and sustain a program. Like, my whole thing is, bro, it's a false sense of reality for certain things. Don't cut it off on them. But I know for a fact, if you really sat down with 20 band directors, middle school and high school, that teach in low socioeconomic areas, not all of them, because they got some anomalies in certain parts. But the truth is, and I see the comment about the pay need to match the workload. Most band directors, you work 80 hours a week and getting paid 40 if they don't take your stipend away, because then they're making it hard for that too. So it's kind of like levels to it, and this is not for the faint at heart, bro. So my thing is, you're not speaking about the support of the administrators, the support of the community, the support of the tradition, because that also plays a part as well. The feeder pattern, if you have one as well. So it's a lot that goes into it. And I want to give them the big picture, because the truth is, the most studying that you're going to be able to do is in school. Once you start working, hitting the ground running, that's why most band directors really don't like to fall like that, is because you're on autopilot once the first week starts. That's why a lot of us we could take a deep breath during concert season in the spring, is because now you get to sit down and be like, let's take our time with these things. I know everybody could come on here and say, well, that ain't true. You could do the same thing in marching band in the fall. It's not the same, because I'm working on product. I'm working on production. I'm working on those impromptu dignitary performances that I got to do that you told me about yesterday, and different things, getting uniforms and focusing on budget. It's just different, bro. It's just different. And that includes choir too. I see somebody says vocal minority directs the mass. That also correlates to fine arts, period. Not just band. But what do I know, bro?
Child, you on here. They gonna say you Debbie Downer.
No, I'm not Debbie Downer. Shit,
they're
I'm
having fun. Okay.
And that's cool.
It, and that's all.
And that's cool. But I gotta speak up for the band directors that even support mass band, that you enjoying your 2 summers, which is cool. 2 months in the summer, which is awesome. I'm not knocking that. Enjoy yourself. Be creative. There was a young man that from New Orleans, I think he was 19 years old, or 17 through 19 years old, directed New Orleans Mass Band. That young man, keep doing what you're doing, bro. Stay solid in your craft. But the reality of it is, once you step foot in the classroom, your passion may go away, because you thought you could stand in front of a band and conduct, and stand in front of a band and just teach the music. What if you got to teach it from scratch? What if you don't have a beginning band class? What if you don't have a band class, period? What if everything that you're doing is after school? What if they tell you, yeah, you're going to be the band director, but you're going to teach music theory all day? Are you going to have the heart to keep doing it?
Which never really is music theory.
Right. Which is a babysitting class. But that's what we got to teach people the real. So again, it's kind of like, I'm tired of the back and forth with mass band. Where I'm at is, okay, that's cool, but this reality. Like that's cool. Not knocking it, but this is reality. All of those kids that are playing, at least they know how to hold their instrument. At least they know the B flat scale. They got kids that gonna walk through your door, and I had kids walk through my door and literally say, I want to play the drums. Okay, which drum would you like to play? The one you hit like this?
Bro, I used to get that every day.
Yep.
Every day.
But even most things I taught before after school, but it should know. That's a part of the problem. You should have my partner went from this district to a neighboring district. He went to Aldine, and he's the current director of bands at Eisenhower High School. When he didn't have to argue with the counselors about class schedule, and they had a set of concert instruments and marching instruments, and all of the teachers, they had 4 teachers on staff. They were co-teaching with each other at the same time. And he was like, so we don't have to like do like, you could take that group during this class, you could take that group at that class, and we could teach all at the same time. And when we have an off period, we could go to the middle school and let them know what we want here. Yeah. He was like, bro, my blood pressure went down. I got healthier. He lost 40 pounds because of that, because of the stress. Because when he was teaching in this district, he taught the mariachi band, he taught the marching band, he taught the concert band, he taught orchestra, and he taught choir, and he taught music theory. One person. He did it for 12 years. I'm sorry, not 12 years, 9 years. Just saying, bro, that's reality of music education when it comes to us. Not everywhere, but a lot of schools. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, if you haven't experienced it, you know, in Kakalaki and in Georgia. Luke, tell me if I'm lying if you haven't experienced that in your areas. And I'm just telling you what I experienced in mine. I'm not knocking nothing else, but I think in my heart, that's some of the problem. It gives a false sense of reality.
Don't even do that. You already know what my experience is. You already know. So you ain't got to say that to me, my guy. Chuck, let me get your thoughts, man. What are the end games or the end goals? I said end games. I've been watching MCU from the beginning. My bad. What are the end goals? And then after that, I'll let Justin in because I know he got a mouthful to say. He done got a snack. He ready to go.
Right. I mean, to me, the end goal should be growth, whether it's high school, college, and not just like within music or band, but just as a person, you know, growing your intelligence and getting better. But unfortunately, I always tell my students, college is a business. They're going to take your money. Now, what you do with it, you know, that's on you in terms of what you get out of it. I'm sure that we all had teachers that we could have got way more out of. And in fact, one of the teachers that I got the most out of, I failed that class with flying colors. And we just had a conversation and I just was just thinking totally different. And he was like, well, why don't you look at it like this? It was psychology and education. And I was like, man, I never thought of it that way. And so I started doing better in the class. He was like, man, it's the end of the semester. You know, you got to take it again. I was like, no, I appreciate it. And I took him again and got a better grade the next semester. But again, I say all that to say that it should be for us to improve and to get better. You know, we say higher education, but I always think of the line that Kanye said, you know, he said the idea of college seems so secure. You know, and we know going to it, especially at our HBCUs, a lot of times we don't have the resources, you know, like other schools that could be just down the street. I used to show when music majors would come in town, I would show what our department of music looked like at A&T. And then right down the street on West Market, A&T's on East Market, what UNCG would look like. And I was like, we're supposed to be taking money from the same pot. But we can't even get our pianos to tune. There's no ventilation outside of this rickety window that was installed in the 70s in the practice room. So you in there, you know, extremely uncomfortable, but you got to learn this piece, you know, for your lesson because you don't want to get kicked out and told to change your major. They can't do that now technically, but that's how it was back then. And so I think, you know, the end goals, again, should be just everybody, you know, getting better and where they are. Sometimes we have people, and you guys may have experienced it in our HBCU music department specifically, that don't understand that. And they think that this high school kid should be ready for Juilliard their freshman year. You know, and I know for me, that's, you know, one of my goals is to teach at an HBCU and within the music department and to give that opportunity that I had. Coming out of high school, I was okay, extremely rough around the edges, but I had a professor that said, hey, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to get better, you know, and it helped me tremendously. It would be where I am today if it wasn't for that opportunity. But, you know, folks are just tired. Teachers are tired. Teachers are tired, they're not getting paid well, and we're having to deal with way too much. When I first started teaching, we maybe had a couple students in the class that had IEPs, 504 plans, some of our diverse learners. Now it's probably 70 to 80% of my class. So you expect me as an educator that I have to differentiate instruction for 80% of my class. You know, in music, band, it's a little bit different, but we're still responsible, you know what I'm saying, to do those things and be able to pick out those educational struggles and help that student, whether it's on a piccolo or it's all the way in the percussion section. I say, hey, kids coming in, yeah, I want to play the drums. Okay, where's the triangle? I'm like, please understand, if you pick up one of my drums, you're going to play them all. And I have a system so they can all play each of the, you know, percussion instruments. And then kids were like, all right, I'll just stick with something else. Are you sure? It's a lot of responsibility. So again, that's what I think our end goal should be. But unfortunately, it's way from that. It's, you know, people taking kids' money, you know, teachers are tired, stressed out, so they're not giving their best. You know, think about it. Think about a job that you went to and you felt appreciated by your boss. You got paid pretty well. You were probably pretty much on time. You service with a smile, whatever it was, like you went above and beyond for that. And that's good leadership. But unfortunately, in our education system, it's the opposite. You mentioned about somebody being sick or whatever. You know, I had from stress, I had to have my gallbladder moved, you know, removed like my fourth year, fifth year teaching, you know, and I'm like, man, I just started, but it was just stress and eating bad because I was at the band room from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, forgetting to eat because I got to do this, I got to do this. So I'm just shoveling down McDonald's and burgers every day, you know, and we see it, you know. I had a professor tell me, and I am with this, I had a professor tell me some time ago, he was like, our HBCUs are the only ones that will work the director of band to death, meaning that they're over the concert band, over the marching band, maybe over the jazz band, teaching classes. But then you go to another school down the street, you have the athletic band director that just does the marching band and recruits for there. You got the wind ensemble 1, wind ensemble 2, 2 different directors. And then your individuals that are teaching applied lessons within the department. But at our HBCU, some of our legends has had to do it all. And sometimes I take offense when people say director of bands, but they don't have more than one band. You know, that bothers me because I was brought up as a band director that I had to teach it all. I've done chorus, just did orchestra, jazz band, concert band, marching band. Like that's what director of bands I saw. But we got a lot of people that give themselves titles. You know, that GOAT name is thrown around real quick.
Child, goats and legends.
Goats and legends, you know.
Everybody
taught that greatness is equal to consistency, you know, and doing it over and over and over. So that's what I think we should be, but unfortunately it's not that. And our kids and everybody else is suffering, you know, because of it. Each year it gets harder. Each year it gets harder and harder and harder to do the bare minimum in public education.
I do want to say this very quickly before I let Justin go, because I know he probably has been writing the whole time. Chisholm is actually right. Dr. Chisholm is right. He's in the chat. He's talking about the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act. If you don't know about that, please understand that there is a level of funding that you can receive from ESSA. You have to do some things in order to receive that funding. But it is funding that is allotted specifically for the arts.
But you'll have administrators that won't even tell you that.
They won't tell you. Yeah,
they won't tell you because they don't want you to have that money.
Right, because if you don't claim it,
it goes to the school.
Correct. So
they won't say anything, and you sitting there, you ain't taking instruments to the shop. Yeah. You got band parents sewing uniforms together, stuff like that. Yeah. And then you got backbiting teachers that are upset because kids want to be in your class and not go to their class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. That's why I said that you got to do some things to get it, but it's there and it's available for you. All right, Justin, I know you got a mouthful, so go ahead. I'm gonna be writing. Let me get my pen out. All right, go for it.
I mean, I would drive when I was into the earlier topics. I just feel like I don't think we ever come to a common ground. You know what I'm saying, about all stuff and the song band. You know what I'm saying, kind of I want to take Quan approach now. Would you say you come to like a median where we could make it better? But I just feel like earlier the thing that got to me was to turn off your ears. Like I was like, what? I just feel like, yes, I took it as okay, so theirs is better, I was not. If you got to turn off your ears for anything, I mean, you just want to hear it or throw your band director out the window. I was like, now you made that mention that's just how I took it. But anyway, it was a great event, great culture. We was there. We had the barbecue, ribs, chicken, everything you wanted in Atlanta, pulled up on them and did our thing. I appreciate everybody that was there too, because like I was talking to the guys from Georgia Mass Band, and to watch something go from nothing to that is crazy. I don't think y'all like know what that is, like to start off with something from nothing and have like that kind of turnout. It was almost like 400 people on the field, probably plus more than that. But I think that, like, you know, just that statement is like when people say, like, the Quan point, that's when people hate on someone, band. That was a great example. What you say, like, they just wish that they, like, you know, they take all the kind of players that they like and put it in the stand, and the wonders that you can do, and they just hate because it's people who they may not respect, think they probably know how to college band, which everybody there in some band, whoever these bands, marching somebody college, and current teaching somebody child right now, can get that kind of turnout in those numbers, and they can't. And every time, I just to the point right now, like when people say negative things about summer band, I'm gonna just start just showing them the numbers and showing them the events. Like, you know, in your band, what y'all do that. I don't care what kind of level it's on. I don't care if it's college. I don't care what it is. I just feel like when I stand firm on something, I just believe in it because I don't see the wrong that we do. Like, and we always compare to DCI. That's for them. This for us. And I'm gonna say that. Stand on it. That's why I applaud Rick for every time he posts something about his organization. Like I guess they're the first Black organization in DCI. I want them to have as much success for it. You know what I'm saying? The fact that if they is the first, to me, that's enough I need to hear. But on the up and up, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Harry Potter was lit. We played a lot more than just Harry Potter was there. Like, you know, one of the Spider-Man themes got played. Another Mexican song got played. It's just so much with some band that just like, it was lit. And it's kind of like one of them things that shit, if you just like, you know, if you don't agree with it, you know what I'm saying? It's here to stay, it ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I like seeing college directors pull up, whether if they come to pull up to critique it or like you say, Kwang, I know it's a real thing. They'll say one thing to us, but come back and say, oh, that shit sucks. I know that happens. It happens to me a lot. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, they'll tell me one thing, but then they go tell somebody else another thing about it. But I don't know. But what else did I have to say? I forget. But I forget what it was. Y'all say something. Probably gotta refresh my memory or whatever. But it was a great event, man. And we got that battle this weekend. Us versus Memphis. That's gonna be a real good turnout. The one in New Orleans y'all came to last year, Chuck. That's going down, and yeah, that's all I want to say. I really had something to say about the other topics. Oh, yeah. I did. Y'all said something about the education and, like, you know, like the music programs and stuff in school, and I know that it's crazy how you see every band director in some kind of way, a music educator in some kind of way. I do. They all had the same problems, and it sucks. You know what I'm saying? And Portia hit the nail on the head when she was like, "Somebody will take it." You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like, you know, what us. You know what I'm saying? Anything we do, somebody will take it. Like, you know, I had a conversation with some band videographers that would like to take their talents to some HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know some niggas out here doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can help HBCUs out in major ways if there was a part of their media team. I know I got Xbox plethora of HBCUs to be that distinct media guy. When it comes to, I guess, it sucks that I know for like a right set, I couldn't ask for the salary I wanted doing with my talents if your assistant taking 40,000. That's not gonna work. It's not gonna work at all. You know what I'm saying? So like we behind the ball on a lot of things. That's why I be quiet and listen when real music educators about stuff like this. The program I heard about that too, Chuck. About the program that you can get money to fix your instruments. My band director, Wilbur Rogers, actually told me about it too. But it just, we're so behind the ball. I just like, I just reverted back to Stone Band. The people in the position of music education have so many other problems to worry about and things they're going to than to worry about what we're doing with summer band. I just feel like a lot of times it's like, okay, tell us what we got to do, but like, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you actually have a band class. You worry about us. A lot of stuff that you can actually do. While we teaching your kids or keeping them, at least keeping their chops going for the summertime, it's a lot of other stuff that you could do. If anything, people should do like I've been doing, working with, talk about it now, it's almost about to be out soon. Getting with people like, I guess, myself and people of that culture and bringing them to your administration and showing them that the numbers and like what the effect that this can have from middle school kids to high school kids about why a band is important from us. That like, you know, if y'all videos get posted on our platform or what we do, that can get your band invited to a national battle of bands or a 2 Chainz video or something, the positive effects. So like, you know, to influence kids to want to be a part of your school through our platform. So it's just a matter of like, that's another thing I be saying, there's a lot of stuff that we have bigger problems to worry about than like, you know, the negative or like, it ain't negative, but just like what we doing that's not what they approve of. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I wish that and I could do this. I probably could do this. It's people who critique some band, like, and I know they band directors, and they can do it. I wouldn't mind them come past out of one or some band. Let's see how I get across, and let them play it in a heated battle. I would love that if anybody would step up to that challenge. I know a couple of some bands that let y'all let the haters pass out of tune to a big ambiance like a game. You know what I'm saying? You say you can do anything with that kind of music, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy numbers. You know what I'm saying? Lord All-Star Band, another thing too, we're not small, they just crazy big. Let's get that understood. You know what I'm saying? We're not small at all. They just ridiculously big. You know what I'm saying? 60 Ramon, that's really ridiculous. We do have a cool 30 Ramon, like college number. But nevertheless, that's what I gotta say about it. I don't know what you gotta say with that, Luke. Just that's all I grasp from.
So I do want to say this. Justin, I agree with everything what you say, and one of those suggestions I actually tried to do myself, and unfortunately that particular director was like, I ain't got to do shit with that person, unquote.
What you mean? Which one?
So like in regards to like bringing those people to like the fine arts director and ensuring that, hey, let this be sanctioned by this particular district. Hey, let's try to get buses, since it's something positive. And honestly, you could do it actually during the day, because during the day that means the kid also get a meal because they have summer school that's going on. Like coming up with these different ideas and being specific, trying to get a central location and different things of that. Man, that dude told me straight up, man, I ain't gotta do shit with them. Well, you late, definitely. You know.
I want to see the summer bands.
That's what I was. So hey,
my bad. I want to see the summer bands. Like y'all remember, like when we grew up, we had just the Olympics, Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics, and then remember, like in the '90s, you started seeing X Games, you know, and then at the point, like the Olympics used to fuss and be like, oh, that's not a real sport or whatever, and now the X Games is like global. And when I was at the event on Saturday and other ones that I've been, I was like, man, I'd like to see this kind of like that, like an X Games type of thing.
Nope.
But I understand that how like things it doesn't have to be adjudicated. People were talking about that online or whatever. I don't think it has to be any of that. But what again, Quan touched on it, and you did, Justin, as well too. There's places that don't have bands, or like solid band programs, stuff that we grew up around and things like that, and definitely I'd like to see college bands and even mass bands, have the funding to expose different people to different, cultures and different things that our bands do. I think that would be
a Southern thing, and they need to stay in the South.
Speaking of which, hold up. Before y'all go, I wanted to put this out there because I did say this to Portia and Quan, and I just want to put this out here. I heard the Virginia Mass Band. I listened to them. They had a video that came out. One of the sorors, Tau Beta Sigma sorors, posted it. I think because her son is playing in it, maybe playing in it. I don't know. But I heard the Virginia Mass Band. let me tell you where I stand with that, and then Justin, y'all can go back with that.
Candor. Yeah.
Here we go. The Virginia Mass Band doesn't sound bad to me, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, some of their arrangements to me are very Virginia-esque, I guess you want to say. Paul I. Adams-esque, because I mean, if you really want to be real, a lot of the Norfolk sound of what we know is more or less from a Paul I. Adams standpoint. So I feel like their arrangements were to that point and to that caliber. But I also feel like I felt like it was a little bit more edge than what you would normally hear from Virginia band. So I feel like and I'm not saying a little bit more edge, but I'm saying like I can hear them trying to take the same liberties in which you would hear your Jacksons or your Southerns or so on and so forth take. So I can hear some of that influence in there. But if in totality, I was like, this ain't too bad. This ain't too bad. Now, it wasn't
I
a
didn't
lot.
watch that either.
Did you see it? I'll send it to you though, but you couldn't see it. You weren't even trying to watch it. Anyway, but no, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. Now, it wasn't a lot of them. I will say it was probably about maybe 30, 35, 40 of them max. And I think they had about 6 or 7 dancers. And then they were under this kind of like awning kind of thing. But yeah, so do I feel like there could be success with them? I'm gonna be real. When I was watching it, honestly, I think that it can be success with them. And here's the reason why. It's not, and it doesn't go back to anything that I've said before. It really goes back to some of the things that we have actually been conversing about on this show. The truth of the matter is the Virginia Mass Band is providing something that's not happening in Virginia. And it's giving kids who play instruments, whether it's high school or college, a way to continue to stay on their horn. And it's something entertaining and fun for them to do. I don't know what level of education is going on in there. I'm not going to try to, say that I do. But what I do know from the vision and the perception that I had, I realized it can be something in Virginia. Finish what y'all was saying, Justin.
No.
I was saying, I want to say, look, I mean, a couple things, but one thing came up first day, Georgia had made cuts. They made cuts to their band before they battled us. Smart move, Georgia. But one dude, like, he traveled 2 hours every day to go to practice.
Hold on though. What's the point of cuts? You it's fun. We accept anybody. Ain't that what the hell you said? Ain't that what you said? Hold up.
You have to. Plus, you have the music. We not been say that. You got at least put a song. We gotta let you play on the music. That's crazy. Yeah, you can come learn your part, and if we make us or you play. If you don't know the song, that makes sense. Yes. How you think? Is a win lose? Let you hang over. I mean, let you have a turn to come in early or something like that. Yeah, it's not everybody will have some type of decorum, but y'all would know that if you just keep studying it. It's more the instruction than you think. But yeah, they make cuts. Yeah, you gotta know the song. You think that? Go listen to it. It's a great music play.
I'm telling you right now, they didn't do cuts with all them damn people. That's a lie.
Listen, Portia. I mean, believe it or not, shit. You think you be? I watched them.
I thought it was supposed to be about fun and who we give everybody a chance. And this different.
I just came to dance. That's all.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
You gotta know. You gotta know. Everybody, we go on. You play. It's more. Come on, man. It'd be crazy if you let somebody who plays you don't know the part. That's wild. But anyway, little man say he traveled 2 hours a day because his school in Georgia there's a concert band. They don't even introduce them to it's a core style band. They don't even introduce them to show style band. So I thought that was very interesting. He sees a couple more of them that actually want to be a part of the culture. And
is that the little young dude from Alabama?
No, this dude he come 2 hours from Georgia somewhere.
Oh,
I know
okay.
whatever 2 hours he drive every day 2 hours in Georgia to be a part of Georgia Mass Band. But nevertheless, what you were saying was right too, and I'm interested in seeing the Vanguard. I'm actually on a 5 o'clock flight the day after our battle to go to North Carolina for their battle to go see Virginia. It's that alone, like they don't have stuff like that out there to do it, and that's other places too. Like I don't understand that if y'all see from an adult, sometimes we gotta hone it out in a kid. You know what I'm saying? If there's something going on that kids like, and that even adults like, that everybody like in other places, and somebody want to start here, you know what I'm saying? Like, granted, you might agree who started, but just give it a chance. You know what I'm saying? And if it sucks, don't participate, don't support it. But like, I think Virginia's doing a good thing too. I personally want them to do great so the band can get bigger and bigger, and they can keep adding more of that aggression. But I do agree, it do kind of sound Norfolk-ish. I want to see how that plays out.
Nobody said that.
What? It do sound Norfolk.
Nobody said that.
Then we established the other week that Norfolk is the sound of Virginia or not?
No, I don't think we established that. That's what Julian said.
No, you and Luke established it. Yeah, you did. Y'all did say when we said if there was a creator all-star, and we said we created the all-star band, who would you want to lead it? Remember?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
It was said on the show.
I said that Norfolk to me is
Nice.
what the Virginia sound is. I don't remember anybody else saying that. I know.
Luke,
right.
Lord, you said
Portia didn't say that.
But Portia, do you agree that Norfolk is the sound of Virginia?
I do not agree. I don't have an opinion.
Okay, all right, that's your opinion. But nevertheless, I wanted to keep sounding Norfolk-ish, the Virginia sound with a little more aggression. But I support it like some, man. Let them blow that hole and call it a day.
Okay. Dang, it was a question that I had on here and I forgot what it was. Dang it.
Did you watch the battle, Luke?
Oh,
did you watch
there we go. That's what I wanted to ask. You kind of brought that up, and I want to ask this. You said meeting or a little kid, or you gave the analogy of the little kid and engaging in them and so on and so forth. Is it meeting them where they are, or is it settling for less? It was just something that popped in my head. I'm just curious, just from a perspective. Are we meeting the kids where they are by saying this is what they want to do and so on and so forth, or are we just settling for less, right? Like and I guess I asked that question, I guess from the standpoint of if somebody comes to me and I know and maybe Chuck, you can kind of help with this. If I'm a basketball coach and a kid comes to me and just says I want to shoot threes all day. Because that's what they want to do, right? That's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that there's a level of, rigor and fundamentals, and you can't just shoot threes all day. It's just not going to happen. Right. So I guess my question is when it comes to, people and saying about, the kids just want to have fun, is that just meeting them where they are, or is it settling for less?
That was a great analogy because that's exactly what I was thinking. I think it can for me, and I'll talk about in both ends. When I coached basketball, it was right in the middle of where the game shifted. Kids, all they want to do was be like Steph Curry. It wasn't like Mike no more. It wasn't like Kobe. It was like Steph Curry. And my players would go out there trying to lace it from three before we even warmed up. And I had to tell them, like, look, what you don't see is the amount of shots that Steph Curry takes prior to this. Like he does like 1,500 a day, and that may be on an off day. And so I say the same thing when it comes to band. Like, and my students, and Justin's right, they did have shaking the tree for a Georgia Mass band because my kids would text me like, hey, I got to shake the tree before, this weekend. And I'm like, all right, go ahead and do your thing. And so, but they know that, hey, you don't have this. I always told them, I'm like, if you're going to do this, that's great. But you got to be consistent in everywhere else as well, too. I always talk, even at the camp this week with the one Atlanta camp, I'm telling the kids, empowerment, and I have them repeat empowerment. I was like, our goal is we want you to be able to play everything that's put in front of you, not just this. So that's why we have some different directors coming in. I think Dr. Little's there from Jackson, Dr. Taylor's there from Southern, and of course all the Atlanta directors. Dr. Gabriel from Savannah State is there. So you got a puff of different styles and stuff. But again, it's about, okay, you like this, but in order to do this well, you've got to do X, Y, Z, and having it all together. I think music is a buffet, and it should have different styles, different flavors, different tastes. And so for me, if the mass band or the jazz band or the concert band, whatever, hooks that kid that never played an instrument before, then it's the job of the educator or whoever's in front of these kids to expose them or show them other things that are within that as well too. And I think too many times we give bad raps with different ensembles. People say the concert band's boring. But I play some amazing music and some fun music in that ensemble. My kids, now they ask me like, hey, can we do this? Can we do this? And then, again, it's just about exposure. But, there are some folks that I do feel that are amongst kids or the masses that maybe are not as educated in terms of other ensembles and how to, build those things and stuff like that. And so I'd like to see more folks ask those questions, and then vice versa as well too, and so again, we can be doing a disservice, but I think the disservice is if the kid never has an opportunity to be exposed, to it. Arturo Sandoval was turned away when he wanted to play the trumpet and rode his bike miles home crying because they said no. And he just got the trumpet, but he busted his tail in practice till his lips bled. Not saying you should do that, but that's what he did. And, now we have this amazing trumpet player, and so it is a complex question, but it is something that needs to be discussed.
Justin, any thoughts on that, or you going with everything that Chuck said? Is he on mute?
Muted, bro.
We need a kung fu sound.
You'll be a fool to like use that analogy. If a kid say he just wants to shoot threes and you're not telling him the importance of it, I don't know who leading like that. That's just no, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I think when you say meet a kid where they are, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I was to say a high school band director, meet the kids where they at, let them play some of the music they want to play too. You know what I'm saying? Don't just always be gun-ho on like, no, we're gonna play this Al Green, and that's what y'all gonna do. You gonna have a band. That's why I mean meeting where they are, not just like let them play all rap songs. You stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. But that's what I mean. But I agree with Chuck saying, not that verbatim of meeting them where they are. That's crazy.
Okay. All right. Man, look, I really did not want to make this a mass band conversation. And to be quite honest, I don't really think it did. In most of the cases, I tried to open it up to many different things because, the truth of the matter is, I know you said you all in Memphis coming up. DCI has now started. I'm, watching that as well. And the truth is, I critique that no differently than I critique mass band. When Rick sends me something, or when I'm listening. Matter of fact, me and him were just looking at Crown Show. I think it was Crown Show, and we were critiquing that. And and I mean, I think it's just.
How you watch it?
Huh?
YouTube? You watched it on YouTube?
He's saying, how did you watch it?
Yeah.
I thought you couldn't record those shows.
Say that again.
I thought you couldn't record those shows.
Technically, you can't.
Okay.
This is
right. I was about to say, I was like, drop me that link, but typically I wait to see them all.
But it'd be the parking lot though. A lot of what he's saying be like the parking lot. It wasn't. It was a real show. Oh yeah,
but
send the link right now.
But I'm gonna keep it quiet because I don't want it to get taken down. Quan, I'll send it to you. And then we'll pass it through the Passioneers.
Love the DCI.
I'm telling you, man, we gotta get you. We gotta get you there. But no, I critique that no differently than I critique anything. If I'm listening to HBCU band, I'm critiquing them. And I mean, let's be honest. Not just specifically our show, but there are multiple shows that are out there that are critiquing bands. Multiple. There are people out in other countries who are critiquing band. And it's not just specifically HBCU bands. It's not mass bands. They're critiquing Texas A&M just like they critiquing Ohio State. I mean, I think because of the fact that it's music and we are people who are just engulfed. Music is who we are. Music is a part of us. I think that obviously in the thought process of Portia, we gonna like what we like, and if I don't like it, I ain't gonna listen to it. But I think that because we are music educators, and we engulf ourselves in music in a way that is really connecting to us, I think that we listen to everything. And because we enjoy listening to everything, we are also open enough and understanding enough to say, this is what I find cool and this is what I don't find cool. This is what I like and this is the sound I like and this is the sound I don't like. And I don't know. I don't think that there's a negativity in that. And I think that as a culture and as a people, I think that sometimes we all got to be comfortable enough to just say, hey, this is what I like and this is what I don't like. And let's bring it to the table and let's, figure out what we can do as a people, or as we like to say, as the culture, to make it grow and to make it better. I would like to see mass band in the next 10, 15, 20 years or whatever on a different scale of where it is right now. And I'm not saying that it's horrible where it is, but I would like to see it in arenas. I would like to see the sponsorships. I would like to see certain things. And I mean, I would want to see them grow. What's up, Portia? Why are you making that face?
I was going to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, go ahead.
I just want to make it clear. It's not that I don't like it. I'm just not going to listen to 30 minutes of like that loud. Yeah, I can't.
But that's fair. That's fair, right?
It's not that I hate it all or I don't want, don't think people should support it. I just don't want to listen to that. Like, I don't want nobody to counsel me, but I like, Caribbean music and Jamaican music, but I can't listen to so much of it because I don't know what they're saying. So my head started to hurt a little bit.
That's like go-go music for me. I love go-go music. I like go-go, but after 30 minutes,
turn it. Something else.
That is literally my point, Portia. I think there are people, and I'm gonna jump on Quan for a second because that's my brother. I love him. Quan can listen to Boosie all day, but I told him
all day. All day. All day.
I told him if I'm in the car with him, I can get.
You speak on the Godfather Louisiana.
Oh man, no.
No.
See.
I have to have variety, and that's just who some people are, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said before, and I will say it again. I like to crank up, but I also like things to sound a certain way. I mean, that's just who I am. And I don't think that anybody should be faulted for that. If you like to crank it up all day and you can care less about a window, I'm not saying that you are. I'm not saying that that's who you are. I'm just saying by example. If that's who you are, then it is what it is. But I think that what we end up doing, I think sometimes as a people, as we put ourselves in the box and we think that we are just this small group of people who can only like and only do two things. We can only agree on specific things. And I don't think that's the truth. I think that we have room to be different. I think we have room to disagree, but I also think that we have room to grow as a people. And that's what the culture is about. And I would be honest, being in the mass band setting, again, that's what I appreciated was the culture or the people and the environment of the cookout. I look at it as the cookout. That's what I looked at it like when I was there. That's when I looked at it when I saw Georgia and New Orleans. That's just how I look at it. I seen videos of people just having a good old time. Some of them with some stuff in their hands they probably shouldn't be doing in front of children, but I mean, you probably do it at home anyway in front of kids. Don't make it right. I'm just saying. But my point
I know.
My point is just
I want you to show me a DCI show that doesn't look good. I want to see. I know we adjudicate and everything. I want to see a DCI show that look bad. I want to see everybody like the same way by hanging over and overblowing all this stuff. I want to see what them time is like. Oh my god, that's just.
There's a show that literally says worst marching band ever, and it's a heavyset dude.
He's talking about DCI. He's not talking about.
I think that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different.
I would say it's harder. I say it's harder too because it's audition. It's audition. There's a process.
Well, Justin said they audition.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool there. But again, I think it's harder. Not saying there are some them shows that just like.
That's right.
I'll be like, "What is this?" Like, I don't
but
get the team.
But it's also harder and it's also different because you don't really know what you're looking for in a lot of, and not saying about you, Justin, specifically, but sometimes people just don't know what they're looking and listening for. Case in point, I got to put it out there. Portia, please, Norfolk people, don't get mad at me, okay? I love the Legion, all right? But I was watching the other last Wednesday. We were watching videos of Norfolk, and I was watching during our time, and I was watching some newer stuff, and I was just like, man, this looks different. And Quan was like, how? I can't really tell, And I think that's kind of very similar to, somebody who's stepping in a DCI arena, and they're not really well versed in it. So saying you want to find one that's bad, I don't think you're just gonna find one where like people are all marching on the wrong foot and the drill is just god awful and the music is just horrible, because they have a certain level of practice that you got to put in. But there are some bad ones in there that they just really are.
Man,
I think.
Go ahead, Quan.
No, I think the only difference I said this, and I'm not bigging up none of them. Like I say, YMCA, I was listening to that on a repeat by New Orleans All-Star Band.
Is that the one?
And whatever. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, I like this one. I was like, I said, bro, I like this one. He was like, I was like, nah, I like this one, and I'm gonna listen to it. So, and then there's the other one. Like I say, I just thought it was different. I know that they were saying ATL hold drew our songs, but whatever that one with that tuba split, that one that Georgia, I'll send it to you, Justin. I was like, bro, I like that, and I thought it was cool.
I know exactly.
I was like, yeah, bro, I like that. I was like, for sure. But I think to Luke's point, you got to remember this, bro. Them boys, like when we was doing that chorus stuff, we practiced 12 hours a day. So whatever you think wrong is going to be fixed. And let's not mention how it's camps that happen December, it's camps that happen February, it's camps that happen April. You have your last one May, and then you have move-ins. So when you're meeting that much, and here's the difference: your show is written. It ain't no stand. It ain't no there's not many, honestly, DCI true cadences, because most of the cadences that they take, if it's not in the show, they took it out. It's rare. That's all I'm saying, because they're focusing on the show. They're focusing on music.
Do they do the same show the whole season?
The whole season.
Right. And I was going to mention that. You're playing the same thing over and over and over.
That's not 100% true. because there are other songs that they do learn, other things they do learn for like small performances, stuff like that, parades, so on and so forth. So there are other things they do learn and practice and rehearse, but the main focus is the field, the show.
Right.
So I would. I've been listening to one of the pastors. He always says this, but I'm not gonna say it. But I would say this: if you want to see like a bad show or what can consider to be bad in some ways, watch the first show. The first show, because the first show is generally all right. It's the end of spring training. We got most of the show on the field. It's not all of the show. We probably don't have a closer, or we're probably going to change something. We still haven't gotten the sets the way we need them to be. There's probably still some attacks and releases or something like that that just doesn't sound good. So if you really want to see like a not so well put together show, I would say watch the first show. I know, and then their first shows are usually in theaters. That's I think July 2nd, I believe. I can put it up and see, but I think that's one of the other things that I think we discuss all the time too. Their first show is in theaters. I don't have it. You said what?
Yeah, movie theaters. They sell tickets.
Yeah.
Wait, DCI first show in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They film it?
No, there's cameras that's out there, and schools sit in and you observe the show.
But you can go to the theater, like literally. You can, like, the last one, I think I went last year. Well, I've been a couple of years, but the one I went last year was at the theater right up the street from me, Cinemark. And you go in and pay for a ticket and you watch it. I'm looking it up right now. But I don't know if there's a date out yet because I haven't seen it. But yeah, so that's typically where you watch. But I think that's one of the things that I think is great about what they do, and something that can be added at some point to what Mass Band does. I think there's room for everything. I think there's room for growth. One thing I will always say: everybody can eat. At some point, we got to realize everybody can eat, but it's just how we go about it, how we put ourselves in the position to be able to go about it. So.
I noticed that Mass Band is growing. And I know after seeing this year, it ain't going nowhere for sure. We always say that, but like it's not. I think that the people, the participants of All-Star Band, Mass, or whatever you want to call it, Summer Band, wouldn't mind seeing it grow. It's also just I can see this is becoming one of them things of like a great proposal would have to be made better than what's already going on. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I watch people been trying to pitch different ideas about what they think it should do, and like different sponsors that can get on board and stuff like that. I think that some bands and All-Star bands will be open to growth and on like bigger platforms. It just whatever pitch that's being made or whatever company they come trying to sponsor something, it literally have to be offered more than what they're doing already. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, you was like that was serious, huh, Chuck? That was like it was a lot of people in that thing. You know what I'm saying? Organized. Nobody had a fight. It still was the aggression that we want. It still was the culture, barbecues, whatever you may have it, and they had security. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of I definitely would. I want to see it grow. It just would have to be pitched right, and like I guess all directors would have to come to a meeting and see how can we make this thing on a bigger platform, but also keep the Mass Band S of what we do. We'll be a fool not to want to see it grow. It just have to grow and probably keep the same authenticity. So I'm sure they're open to it growing and being. And you mean to tell me you can go to a movie theater and watch one of the shows? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Whether they be the first week out of I don't know, but at the same time, a lot of what makes All-Star Band is what makes it. You know what I'm saying? So like the 60 trombones. You know what I'm saying? the aggression, ATL. You know what I'm saying? That makes Summer Band. I don't know if you consider that movie theaters for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But I feel you.
Be rated R or something. All right, man. The date for the DCI in theaters, Big Loud and Live event, or excuse me, Big Loud and Live 2023 DCI tour is going to be in cinemas August 10th. So that's the date for that. So yeah, so if you wanted to get that experience, Justin, from a theater perspective, you can. But if you want to get it live, then you probably should look for the date that's closest to you. All right, man. Let me go ahead and because Quan got to shut the school down and turn on the alarm. So let me get ready to get close out, man. Chuck, Justin, I appreciate both of y'all brothers, man. 100%. I thank y'all for both of what y'all are both doing, not only just in music and education, but just the culture, period. Man, y'all keep doing what y'all do. And I ain't got nothing else.
Well, you come to DC, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I didn't realize it was that close.
Yeah. I'm gonna be real. I ain't packed yet. I ain't touched the suitcase yet. I ain't picked a pair of clothes. Me and my wife was looking at each other like, we packed? All right. So yeah, but yeah, we'll link up. You know, I'll be bringing some of my. Well, I ain't gonna bring all of my camera. I'll just bring my cell phone and record some stuff. But other than that, man, I appreciate you, brother. I will be seeing you in DC, Chuck. I don't know where I'm gonna see you at anymore. Did you cut your hair?
I did.
I thought so. I'm sitting up here looking at you like, why does this guy look different? He did something happened to his face. Is it slim?
Well, every summer I cut my beard, let it regrow, and yeah. But I did just get a haircut today.
That's nice. My wife won't let me cut mine.
My wife has a whole attitude when I do it, but I needed to regrow and come back in nice, and so gotta,
From Jersey. Why you live in Chilmore? What's his name?
You said what?
The guy from Jersey. What's his name, man? Cool Cat.
From who?
The guy from Jersey. I was going to he a band in Jersey.
And from Jersey. Who is it?
You're on the show with y'all, man. Come on, man. I know what I'm talking about. He was trying to get Hampton to come do a little band, presentation.
You talking about went to Incat or went to Norfolk?
I think he went to Norfolk with y'all. He been in Jersey.
Mario.
Yeah, Mario. Why you come to Chilmore?
Huh? Why didn't he what?
Come on the show anymore. I thought
because he gigs.
Gigging. He playing everywhere.
Gigs everywhere.
Right.
So, outside of him gigging all the time, obviously he has a family and he's teaching as well. So, when he came to me, he was like, hey, bro, I love doing this, but hey, I got a gig, bro. So I was like, hey, man, do what you got to do. Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, man. I appreciate y'all. Let's go ahead and get ready to shut this down. Appreciate you, Chuck. Appreciate you, Justin. I'll see you in DC. All right, brothers. All right. Hey, y'all. We taking a break for the month of July. I know this is gonna be hard for us. I know every Wednesday y'all are gonna cry y'all little eyes out. I know y'all just be waiting to turn your camera on, but it is a much needed break for myself and Portia and Quan. Quan's gonna be traveling. Myself, me and Quan are gonna be traveling anyway. We'll be in the DC area. I am really looking forward to this trip. Not just because I need a chance to reset, not necessarily release, but reset, but also because I just can't wait to get around my brother and my sister and his students and just really be able to put my paws on them. I've heard so much about them. I've heard some great things from them, and I just can't wait to be around them. So we definitely need this break, but don't worry, we'll still be here in some type of capacity because I will have reruns showing all through the month of July. So if you have not seen some of our shows, if you have missed any of our shows, I'm going to choose the ones that I deem worthy, and I'm going to put those up just in case you missed any of our past shows. All right. Before we go for our last time for this month, or 4 month. Quan, any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture?
Nah, just keep myself and the band program in your prayers as we travel. Support your HBCUs, but we really got to start as we go into the fall. We really got to start speaking up for our band directors. The lack of payment, the lack of credentials. Like, let's do better. So that's it, man.
Absolutely. Portia, any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture?
Do what makes you happy, whatever that is. As long as you ain't hurt nobody else, do what makes you happy. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, you do. And that's your right as a human being. Do what makes you happy. Life is too short.
If that's the case, I'm gonna start an OnlyFans tomorrow.
Wait a minute.
You said do what makes you happy.
You're not hurting nobody, you know.
That makes me happy, I tell you.
Hey.
No.
That money, don't let it make you. I just came to dance for y'all. That's it.
I just came to dance for y'all. That's all. I didn't have a joint ready to go. That I just had to say it. No, I don't disagree with what you're saying, man. Mostly my thing is I just really want us as a people to be able to learn to work together. At the end of the day, we can all have our differences and all that, but we struggle right now with learning to work together. And that's my biggest thing. How are we going to work together to advance each other, advance the culture, advance music and education? That's all I am for. And if we can figure out a way to do that the best way possible without being at each other's throats, then guess what? I'm excited. And guess what? We ain't gonna like everything. Nope. We don't all like the same thing. So we'll be just fine, not all liking the same thing. And everybody's gonna have an opinion because what? Opinions are like buttholes. And as long as we poop out soft serve, guess what? Everybody got one. I ain't got nothing else, man. This has been great. We will see you guys in the month of August. We will not be here in the month of July. I just wanted to make sure I told you that. If you're watching this on playback, make sure you click that like button. Also, if you are watching any of the older episodes, you can also click that like button as well. If you're watching this on playback, you can also leave comments. I will always look at comments. I don't always answer them, but I do look at them. And if I feel the need to answer them, I will. Other than that, I ain't got nothing else. This has been dope. I don't have a title card. I just realized that. I don't have a title card to save my life. Give me a second. Don't move. I was about to shut it all down and the title card is gone. If I put a wrong title card up here, don't be upset, by the way. This isn't my fault. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. It's not my fault. Let me see if this one works. Dang it. We can't use that one. Can't use that one either. Let me see if this one works. If this one works, then we'll use this. There we go. All right, we out of here. Ain't this about a butt? That just popped up.